I'm truly excited for this episode today of No More Shame. Just a few things before we get started. The following screen after I'm done will be black, and that is because Sam wished not to have her face shown. And so if you're confused as to why it's just a black screen, that is why. But please listen. This is such a powerful story. It's a hard one, which comes to my next point. I want to provide a trigger warning. Today's episode is about child abuse, and Sam shares her past experiences with being abused. And so if this is something that you've gone through, something that you are going through, my heart goes out to you. I'm truly sorry that you have had to experience that. And for that, I provide a trigger warning because some of the stories in here are extremely hard to hear and may cause anxieties or past traumas of your own to arise. As well, I want to throw out there that there's some explicit language in this. So without further ado, I hope that you enjoy today's episode. Thank you. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to No More Shame. I'm excited today to have my good friend Sam, who's also my coworker.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're good. So I'm going to turn the time over to her to go ahead and talk about who she is and share a little bit about some of her past experiences. So take it away, Sam.
Just like that.
Take it. Yeah, just like that.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sam. My full name is Samra Mehmedovic. I'm Dylan's coworker. We're case managers. So fun. Yeah. I like to make music, and I was a former basketball player in college. I am also a Bosnian Muslim refugee who apparently is a lesbian. Very fun, very nice, very conflicting.
I love it. Apparently it's like, are you just discovering this?
No, been discovered. No shame.
Yeah, no shame.
So I'm going to talk about child abuse and being abused as a child, which is unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I don't know where to start.
Okay. I guess just kind of like, child abuse, is it something like throughout your entire life, did you always experience it?
Yeah. Yes, it was very, very present in my household. Coming from an immigrant family, both of my parents consequences were physical. My mom would put it as, if you get hit, if you're getting beat, then you won't do that thing again that you weren't supposed to do in the first place. So it was very apparent. It would be apparent, and it was like an everyday thing as a kid. There was times where my dad was teaching me the Quran, and I would get it wrong because I'm a kid. I was like 6 maybe, and he would beat me and hit me, which is not okay, which obviously makes Islam not seem peaceful for you as a child. My mom was more emotionally abusive than physically abusive. She did a lot of shaming and guilting and said very horrific things to us. It was an emotionally abusive household, and it was basically like who could hurt who more, and that even showed and was present with my siblings when we had disagreements. My dad, on the other hand, was more physically abusive. When we were younger, he's diabetic, and in Bosnia he didn't receive the proper care he needed, and he wasn't on the medication that would help him, lower his blood pressure. So a lot of times when he was escalated, when we were younger, it was worse just because he wasn't medicated. So it would be like bruises, going to school, or being hit with belts and being hit with hands and feet. Time he kicked me. It's not good. Where should I go now?
So, from the sounds of it, it wasn't just physical, it was also emotional, but both parents were doing one. Like, they both weren't...
Yeah. They were contributing to the plot.
What?
Both of them were contributing.
Yeah. It wasn't like one did, like, they both did their own kind of abuse, but they both were part of, like, the abuse.
Powerful.
Yeah. And so, and also kind of, you talked about, like, your siblings, like, did it rub off on, like, between you and your siblings as well? Like, because...
Like, hurting each other?
Yeah, like, because you guys were, that's what was almost the norm in the household, like, you guys would do that to each other as well?
Yeah, a lot of the times it would be more... It was never really physical with any of my sisters. I have 2 sisters, an older sister and a little sister. It was more emotional, and it was... We've said some really mean things to each other, where it was, like, kill yourself, like, I hate you, like, die, you don't deserve to live, like, things like that. Like, that. Those are things we heard from our mom, just, like... And my dad, but mostly my mom, where it's, like, you're not really worthy of, like, life, and your experience is really... invalid and your reality isn't real. So it's really frustrating, and it still kind of is, but it's less frustrating now. It was a really big turning point for me when recently, actually, it's always affected me, and just physical, emotional, spiritual, mental abuse will, especially when you're a child, will just carry on, and it'll be present in your life until you do the work and nurture yourself. It's just unfortunate because these are experiences, and even if they're not good experiences, we experience them, and we are responsible for doing the healing when we didn't deserve that. It was apparent to me that I needed therapy when I was just sitting, I don't know, it was like maybe a year ago, I think. And I was just sitting in my bed, and I was just hanging out, whatever, on my phone, and I just had this, like, flashback of, it was like, there was this time, I was around 7, my older sister was 13? And we were out in the neighborhood super late at night, and my dad was looking for us because the sun was down and we were supposed to be home. And when he found us, he acted like he was okay, whatever, all happy and stuff. And he was like, go in the shower. And we're like, okay, cool. And then he went in there and he beat us in the shower while we were naked. And that memory just, like, flooded in my head. And I was like, dude, like, is this sexual abuse? And I couldn't tell. So I really couldn't tell. I was like, is this sexual abuse? Because it just made me feel so sick to my stomach. And I Googled it. I asked my friends, I'm like, is this sexual abuse? They're like, yeah, it is. Like, sorry.
You're fine.
And I remember talking to my therapist about it one day, and I was just so fed up. I was just crying. I was like, why are my parents like this? Why did I deserve this? Why is everyone's life easier than mine? I was really stuck in, like, just feeling like a really big victim, and, like, letting life hurt me, and in turn, like, hurting other people because my parents hurt me. That's where... Do you have any questions?
I do.
Oh.
I think, I don't know, right now, like, you hear about child abuse. I've learned about it in school, and you hear stories. It definitely, like, hits me more hearing it from someone I know.
Yeah.
And, like, hearing what your experiences are, like, it makes it almost more real and more, I don't know, it's like, it's hitting me differently, like, hearing it from you, because I've never had anyone just, like, sit down with me and be like, hey, like, I don't know, it's a different experience, and it makes me feel, like, really, like, I don't know, I feel for you, like, I'm sorry that this has happened to you. With going to therapy, so you said you, like, it was about a year ago you started going or started thinking about it.
Yeah, I started thinking about it. And
then, do you feel like that has helped at all with the situation? Like, have you feel like you've been able to heal from it? Or do you feel like it's still an ongoing process?
That's a good question. I feel like it's a long process. It's going to be a really long process because I still haven't healed from it. But starting therapy was like opening the wound and just nurturing it. And like it involved a lot of anger and sadness and just so mad at everything. And hatred. A lot of hatred towards my dad and my mom and a lot of forgiveness. So I think I'm still working on it, of course, now. I think about it now and I'm like, it's gonna be a long process, you know, and sometimes it overwhelms me because it's been happening since I was maybe like 5 to 18. 18 was probably the last time I was hit. And that's a long, long time. And it's gonna take a long time to heal from it. But I'm open to the process, and I do a lot of inner child work right now and taking care of myself and my inner child and reparenting. I struggle with feeling safe around people, and there's always that, your body holds trauma, and there's always that feeling in my chest like, be careful, someone's gonna hurt you, you know. I saw it play out a lot when I was working with men, and when men would raise their voice and start yelling, it would scare me. And I wouldn't act scared, of course, because I'm a big dude, you know. I will beat you up. But it scared me inside. It was like, just like my inner child, just like, this is scary because my dad was so volatile. Like, he screamed, he yelled. When you heard him yell, you would shake. Like, he's gonna come in here, beat the shit out of me. Like, and then I'm gonna have to wear long sleeves to school, you know. I see a lot of the times my inner child react a lot when I'm in relationships, and just I don't feel like I'm lovable a lot of the times, like I'm worthy of this. I was really taught that love was not conditional. Love was conditional. It depends on how you act. And my parents hurting me and hurting my siblings was a form of love, of discipline, of you acted this way, so you're gonna get this, you know. And at times I've ruined really good things in my life because I couldn't feel safe. And that's something I'm still experiencing to this day, that I'm continuously trying to work on and rewire my brain and try to calm down and feel safe. So
I really do appreciate you coming on and being so vulnerable, being so open, and sharing these experiences. I don't know, it means a lot that you trust me to share these. And I was thinking about you talking about, you know, not feeling safe when you meet new people. And I thought about when we first met and just how quiet you were in the beginning.
yeah.
And now I don't know if it makes, I just thought you were shy.
No,
and
I'm not shy.
No, you're really
I'm
not. Like hearing this, it makes more sense, because when we first met, like I remember I'd ask you a question and you would respond, and you would say like, oh yeah, I'd like to play basketball. And I was like, sorry, what?
Yeah.
And I had to ask you like 3 or 4 times because I couldn't hear you. And now hearing this, I'm just like, oh, like, you know, I probably, like, it makes sense. Like, here I am, I'm a white male, like you, or starting a new job, and you probably just, I don't know if this is what you thought, but like you probably just didn't feel safe when you, especially not just me, but like everyone else, but like you know, so then it makes me really glad that, you know, I feel like the relationship we have has grown past that, because I don't know, I feel like you and I get really crazy at work sometimes.
We are crazy.
we are. And it really does, like, knowing you now, you are not shy at all. Like, you are just this outgoing, like, fun-loving person, and I really enjoy being around you. So to know this about you, and to, you know, to think back when we first met and maybe connect some of the dots there, it is really interesting. When you were talking about therapy, you mentioned as part of it, like, forgiveness, and I just wanted to know, is that forgiveness of your parents, forgiveness of you, you know, both of those? Like, what did you mean by forgiveness?
Forgiveness to like myself and to my dad. I've been working on just forgiving my father for what he's done, and knowing that he'll never realize what he's done and how bad it hurts and how bad it still hurts. And that's a hard process, just to know that that person's never gonna actually, like, be accountable for what they did. In my culture, it's not. I'm really happy I'm on this podcast, because coming from, like, a Bosnian person, like, in our culture, it's not easy talking about these things. These things are laughable. They're like, okay, so you got beat, so did I. Like, things like that. And it almost becomes like a personality kind of trait where my parents did this for my benefit. My parents did this to discipline me. And they weren't trying to hurt me, but this is how they grew up, so it's okay for them to inflict this pain on me, which is not the case. It's not okay. And I want to tell people who are immigrants and people who fix this kind of behavior and abuse as disciplinary, that it's not okay, and it's wrong, and you don't deserve it. You deserve better. And you're not the problem. I had to learn how to forgive myself and to learn who I am, actually. And I'm still learning who I am. I always had to be something I'm not growing up, and I had to lie, and I had to act a certain way and behave a certain way so I wouldn't get hurt in those environments. And I still struggle to this day to behave like behave like someone wants to see me. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, okay, Dylan wants to see me like this, so I'm going to behave in this way. Yeah, and I'm not going to be who I am.
To please other people.
Yeah, people pleaser. Just so I can feel safe, you know? Because if I'm raw, if I'm vulnerable, then I get hurt. My father, he was sick at times. He would beat us, of course. He would hit us with the belt. He would make us go choose, which was kind of sick too. But it would be like, he's hitting us. He says, stop crying. You're crying, I'm going to hit you more, which doesn't even make sense, because you're hurting me, of course I'm going to cry. So it made me super desensitized to pain, and when people hurt me, I had to learn how to forgive them right away and just be okay with it. And even emotionally, just be okay with it and act okay. Not be able to be vulnerable, you know? Like, right now, I'm super vulnerable, man. And I'm so happy that I'm doing this, because I wouldn't be able to do this, like, literally a month ago. I don't think I'd be able to do this. So thank you.
I thank you. Like, this is I appreciate this a lot. I know this isn't easy.
Yeah.
So, you said the last time that you were hit, you were 18.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're 21 now, right? So
Yeah.
it's been 3 years. Like, do you feel like in those 3 years then, like, has the relationship improved with your parents? Has things changed? Like, what's changed from then to now, you know?
Mm-hmm. What changed is, it's not physical anymore, of course. I won't allow that. I won't allow it.
Yeah.
It's still emotionally, but I'm able to set more boundaries, and now I don't live at home, which is great, so I'm able to leave if I feel hurt, if I feel disrespected in any way, if I feel like I'm being guilt tripped or shamed or gaslighted by my mother or by my father. I'm able to stand up for myself. And standing up for yourself in that household is scary. At a time, I even had to, like, physically pull my dad off of my sister because he was gonna beat the shit out of her. And my little sister, she pissed him off. This was a while ago when I was 18 in my old house, but he pissed her off and she was mad and she was upset and he was upset, and he was just gonna run. He was running after her, like he was trying to grab her. He tried to grab her, he missed, and then he grabbed her and was like physically going to just hurt her. Like he looked like an animal, like grabbing, just like it looked like he was going after an intruder in the house, you know, that type of mean, unkind, just animalistic kind of, he's like a predator, you know, going to harm, going to kill, going for the kill. And so I like throw him off and I like pushed him into the fridge, and I was shaking. I was so scared because I was downstairs trying to mind my business. In my house, you mind your business. Like, it was, if you get involved, it's gonna be your ass too, you know.
Yeah.
So I tried to mind my business for the most part, but I couldn't then. And I was 18. I just got back from college, and I threw him onto the fridge, and I was like, "Leave, just get the fuck out." And I was shaking. I was so scared, and I was proud of myself, but I was crying after. Because I just saw, it was just super vivid, and like seeing my little sister go through similar things, like, and I remember being her age and being so scared of him, so frightened of his capability, of what he can do. And I just felt for her. I just really felt for her in that moment. I don't know if I answered your question.
I don't even remember, but I
kind of went off.
It's totally cool. No, I think it was great. I think you've shared a lot today, and I love that you have, and I love what you're saying. You know, here I am. You're telling that story, and I don't even remember what my question was. But all I'm thinking is like, wow, like your sister is so lucky, like to have you as a sister, like. And you've told me other stories, like I know 100% you have her back. Like if stuff goes down, like you're there for her. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just, she's so lucky to have you, and I think you're lucky to have each other.
Yeah.
Just from stories I've heard, just the connection you have with her.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even remember what my original question was, but that's the comment I have to what you just shared. I think, you know, the unfortunate truth is that you aren't the only person who's experienced this.
I know.
There's so many other kids out there who live in the same fear that you do and that you have, mm-hmm. and who are probably going to hear this and think, oh, like, yep, I know exactly what Sam is talking about. Like, I can relate.
I know the feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and if you have more things you want to share once I say this, just right now, the question I'm coming up to, and It's usually the last question I ask people, but again, if you have more you want to share after this, I'd love to hear more. And I say that in the, I don't want to like, I'd love to hear, like I say that in a way that I'm like,
I want to hear all this.
I just, like, what advice would you give to someone else who is in this situation still, or who has been in this situation, you know, maybe who has grew up and is out of the house, or someone who's listening to this and may still be in a household like this? What advice would you give to them?
I want to start off with, you don't deserve it. You never deserved it. Whether any type of abuse, it's not deserved. You are enough, and it's not love. You are worthy too. When I was a kid, I would struggle with feeling worthy, and that I was bad, inherently bad, because I was being abused, and hurt, that I deserved it, and that was bad. So I want to tell any kid that's in this situation, any person that's still in this situation, whether they're grown up and it's a partnership or a friendship, a relationship with your mom, your dad, your cousin, whatever it is. Where was I going? You are worthy of better. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that's your reality. I really am. And it's just an experience. And it's an awful, awful, awful experience that no one should experience ever. But it's yours. I want you guys to know, whoever's listening, that there will be trials, like, going through it. And, like, if I'm being real, it will be hard. It will be fucking hard. This trauma that was placed onto us, placed onto me, onto everybody else, on these children, nobody deserves it. But it's something we have to deal with, and something we are responsible with for healing. We're responsible to heal ourselves and to nurture ourselves and grow from it. I hope everyone who's experienced this is safe now and in the future. I pray for that. Also, I really recommend just going to therapy and finding people you can talk to about these things, and finding a safe spot, whether it's a person, whether it's a place, whether it's a book, a song, a movie. Share your story, share your experience. Your experience is valid, and your reality is valid and real. I also want to share that I don't think people really talk about the impact that it has in your adult life. I've told Dylan this, but I feel like a lot of the times, like, there's parents and people and adults walking around as a hurt child, as a kid that has been, in my case, a kid that has been abused mentally, physically, emotionally. We have to sit down and reparent ourselves, and it's so unfortunate that we have to do that work, but we do have to do it. What I do to reparent my inner child and really show myself that I'm lovable, I am worthy, I deserve good things, and I deserve kindness. I talk to my little me. So I basically imagine in my brain that I'm sitting with my little self, little Samara, and that whenever things scare me, like, or trigger me, sometimes when I go to my house and my parents trigger me, or my dad triggers me when he yells, I go home, I leave, and I sit with myself in my brain, and I talk to little me, and I ask her if she's okay, if she feels scared, and I let her know that she's safe with me. And I think it's important to, if we feel, us as people who survived abuse, or people going through abuse, if you feel triggered in any way, or you're in a situation where you're not feeling safe, you need to leave. You need to leave and talk to yourself and sit down and love yourself. Don't abuse the child that already was abused. I think that's all I have to say. I love you all so very much. Thank you for tuning in.
I want to thank you personally. I know I've said already, but like, I really do appreciate this. You know, you've shared snippets, and you haven't really gone into much depth. Like, you've told me some things here and there, like, as we've been working, and so to hear this, it's like I have way more admiration and respect than I did, because I already did in the beginning. Like, I've always loved and respected you. I've been glad for our relationship.
Me too.
But thank you. I can't thank you enough for coming and doing this. To anyone else out there, like, you are loved, as Sam has said, and like, you know, you're not alone in what you're going through. So I hope that this has somehow been helpful to you, and I hope that you can find the help and resources that you need at this time in your life. So thank you for listening. Take care.